Hello and welcome to week 1 of Cultural Geography. Hopefully by now you have watched my welcome and you have printed at least your course guide and have worked through maybe a calendar or a planner to know, okay, these are the things that are going to be due over the course of these next 6 weeks. As a reminder, 6 weeks is going to fly by. It's just a lot of material that we're covering in a short amount of time, but as I reminded you in the welcome, this is kind of a great compact way to accomplish 15 weeks of work in 6 weeks time. So as you work through the first week's work, keep in mind, just because you open the class and you look at the first section and it says Unit 1, if you've printed your course guide, you know that for this first week, you have items that are due from Unit 1, and then you have a few items due from Unit 2. So please keep that in mind, and I'm going to walk you through some of that here. This week is essentially just the intro week. You need to read through Chapter 1 of your textbook, and you have access to that in your course guide, let me get to it right here in your required studies. This is a link. It's a PDF to your textbook. This is so that you do not have an added expense of a textbook, and you always have it at your fingertips. So I actually printed it just because I really like paper, but you do not have to do that. This textbook is different than maybe what some other people are using in a seated classroom, but what's really kind of great about this particular textbook, besides the fact that it's free and it's online, it does have a lot of definitions. So at the end of each chapter, it kind of goes through, here's some terms that may have been new to you in this particular chapter. So you need to be able to cover Chapter 1 in your textbook, and then you also have a supplemental lecture. This is just sort of my notes, because as I worked through the book, I thought, it's missing some things. I really wish it had picked up on these things. And as you work through your homework, you're going to need a little bit more information as you work through that. So these two things are going to make up the bulk of what you need to prepare for in that first week's work. As you work through it, keep in mind that this is just setting a foundation of what we're going to do through the rest of the course over the next 6 weeks. This week, you have items that are due Wednesday, June 30th, and then you have items that are due Sunday, July 4th. Yes, I'm aware that that is Independence Day, but this is a 6-week course, and none of us gets the day off, technically. And if you have plans, I encourage you to do the work early. And when I say that they're due on Sunday, July 4th, that means by 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. I need to be very clear about that. If you live in another time zone, I need you to remember we're doing this based on York, Nebraska time, Central Time Zone. This particular week's worth of work is to be completed by Sunday, July 4th, by 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. So on Wednesday, June 30th, you have a checklist quiz, which I'm going to make sure and show that to you here. This is essentially what you're going to prove, okay, I've listened to her welcome, I've looked through the material of the course, I understand what I've decided I'm going to do here at this course. There's some points that come with that, which is always great to make a little points, hopefully easy points. So make sure you do that by Wednesday, June 30th. You have 2 discussions that are due this week as well. The first is an intro. You need to record yourself talking about yourself. Hey, we can do this. I've already done it a few times for you myself. You need to introduce yourself. You need to talk about what's interesting about you. Maybe talk about what you hope to get out of the class if you wish. The idea here is that we want to get to know you. I want to get to know you because there are several of you in this class, and this is going to be my best way to put a face with a name and to learn something interesting about you. On Sunday, July 4th, you're going to need to respond to 2 of your classmates, and you need to do it in a meaningful way. You've watched a couple of videos, a couple different people in the class, and you respond to them, hey, I've got a dog named Coco too, or something. Make sure that you're actually engaging with them, showing that you have listened to their video and welcome them to the class. So it's meant to be interactive, teach you a little bit about how to do this, also gives you some practice on how to record yourself, which I highly recommend. use your cell phone, or in my case, I've also got a video camera on my computer that I can just load it right into that. These are important aspects of online learning, and it's my understanding that these are some basics that you should hopefully already know how to do before you actually enter the class. So make sure that you keep that in mind. Your video is due Wednesday, June the 30th. You also have another discussion. Sorry, I'm kind of hesitating. I want to make sure I get all this right. And it's here called Global Population. This one you are doing not the same thing in that you're not recording yourself. You're actually going to type something out. You have very specific instructions here. You need to read those instructions. You need to follow those instructions. There are word limits, word minimums. You need to also, if you end up feeling like you've got to cite some sort of source, you have to do it APA. You will lose points if you do that without some sort of citation. Matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, it's considered plagiarism, and then you'll get a 0 for it. So make sure that you're citing your sources. You're not supposed to use Wikipedia or about.com or something like that. Get into the meat of things. Use real news sources. And if you've got some questions about that, shoot me an email. I'll see if I can't help you out with that. But hopefully, for the most part, this is just stuff that you can respond and work your way through it, and it'll all make a whole lot of sense. Your initial post is due on June the 30th, and then you have to respond to 2 of your classmates with at least 100 words minimums, not including the references if you decide you want to cite something. All of those are due on the 4th as well. So keep in mind, you've got it's a two-parter. You've got to post by Wednesday, but then you have to respond to 2 classmates on both the intro and this global population one by July 4th. So the next thing you've got to make sure that you do this particular week is you have got a couple or 3 assignments that are called map assignments. You have maps number 4, 10, and 6. And so here's 4, 10, and then if you go into the next unit, you're going to find 6 there. I just want to open this real quick in case you haven't yet, so you know what we're talking about here. You'll need to open up that PDF, as I mentioned in your welcome. You can print that. I would encourage you to do that in color, otherwise this is going to be very difficult. And you'll go to map 4, where then you will read a short paragraph. You'll answer the questions that are there. I think there's 3 with map 4, using the maps on that page and the following. I'm probably describing it much more difficultly than I have to, but make sure that you're being thorough, and if you have some questions about that, let me know, but take your time, work your way through that. So you've got 4, 10, and 6. Each of them have their own places where you need to open it and submit for map 4, and then you go to the next one and submit for map 10, and then so on and so forth. You have 2 video quizzes this week. The first one is called Doing Anthropology. You'll watch a short video. All of them, I've got the length in there so you know exactly what you're getting into. You'll watch it, and then you are going to have a quiz that opens. It's only open for 10 minutes after you watch it. When you watch that, it's essentially the quiz is not asking these deep, probing, intellectual questions. They're essentially asking, did you pay attention? Did you hear who this particular doctor is, where she's from, what brought her into this field, things like that. Just some real basic things. I have plenty of students that do these sort of assignments for me every time I teach the class, and the ones that have communicated with me about it often tell me, I take notes just because I want to make sure that I've picked up on the little nuances as I prepare to take those quizzes. So you've got 2 of those. One is called Doing Anthropology, and the second one is called Tom Harrison, the Barefoot Anthropologist. And essentially, again, it's just giving you a little bit of insight about this particular class. How do we study culture? How do we learn about it? And largely, we rely on the work of anthropologists. The final thing you've got due this week is in Unit 2. And it's called China's Global Issues. And here again, you'll submit your work here through a file upload, and you've got information here that you'll want to read through, and then you'll click on the census. This is very good information for you to work through, because my guess is most of you have never been on census.gov. It's going to seem really intimidating when you first get into it, but work your way through it. Take a little time, spend a little time working on it, and you've got very specific instructions here. I've worked through it myself just in the last couple of months, so I know it does actually work. So make sure that you follow these instructions, and then you're going to need to essentially answer these 3 questions. I encourage you, read this thoroughly. Read it, make sure you understand. Otherwise, this is your week. Look at that. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, but I'm going to encourage you, don't wait around. You've got a few things that are due Wednesday. Again, you've got that checklist quiz, and you've got 2 discussions. The first is the video introduction, and the other one is the discussion regarding global population. And then, of course, you have got finally due on Sunday, July 4th, you've got your peer responses to the intro, as well as the global population, as well as those map assignments 4, 10, and 6, where you need to do those assignments in each individual places. And then you've got 2 video quizzes, and then China's population. All of that is in your course guide. Hopefully that made sense. Hopefully I didn't talk too fast. If I did, go back, rewind, look at it again, or look at your course guide. Hey, I wish you the best of luck, and I will be talking with you again real soon. Have a great one. Bye-bye.